laughed at Ryan. In honor of Craig Coyle, we have this picture. Back nearly 3 years ago, we actually cut the ribbon for the opening of the intermodal ramp. And Craig is the third from the left in that picture. And that marked sort of the public movement forward on this whole idea that Craig had deserves a lot of credit for in terms of really moving this thing forward in a way that really differentiated Decatur from anything else that might be around here. So that was nearly 3 years ago. I get the right button here. And the vision that came out of that, the whole process, was to really strategically develop Decatur as a transportation center, really capitalizing on assets that are pretty much already here. Our rail services, our interconnectivity, our geographic location, our interstate access, uncongested interstate access, and our quality airport infrastructure. So those were the things that we had. These were some of the specific assets that we had in place in terms of trying to create a multimodal hub. We'd spent a lot of time after that ribbon cutting doing a number of market studies, analyses to identify just what types of services might we provide, what types of competition did we have, what kind of market could we serve. And that led to an event about 10 months ago, which was what we call the official market launch for the Midwest Inland Port. Coming out of all of that effort was a multi-path strategic plan in terms of our development. And we're going to hear from a number of people today in terms of certain pieces of that plan, because this is a very comprehensive, a very complex opportunity. It's not just moving down one path, it's really being able to move down multiple paths on a coordinated basis and trying to keep a number of balls in the air at the same time. So I think you'll hear some pretty good stories here in terms of some of the progress that's being made. What I want to do is kind of highlight some of the things that you're going to be hearing about, and then let the people that are really doing the work tell you more in terms of details. So first of all, we spent a lot of time working on our comprehensive market strategy and plan. We have coming up a plan for a site Selector reception up in Chicago later this year, and then a very significant event, because a lot of our focus has been on international organizations. On October 4th and 5th, we're hosting up to 100 foreign consulates and their trade ministers from Chicago down to Decatur and Champaign for a 2-day visit. They will tour the intermodal ramp, they'll tour Caterpillar, they will tour Fuyao Glass. We'll have a dinner and reception for them on the first night that they're here. And again, this is another one of our efforts to attempt to create more awareness and visibility of really some of the key capabilities that we have here. We've also been working, and Allison Fayette will be talking a little bit about this, in terms of attracting significant users to the ramp. And through some work that was done over the last year with the CN, we now have some direct import lanes into our Decatur facility, and we now have some significant users of those lanes that are importing freight into their locations of operation. Ryan made reference to Omnitrax, and today we had a very major announcement from Omnitrax in terms of an investment that they're making and a partnership that they formed with TopFlight. Part of what comes out of that will be to help develop sites for planned industrial parks and to have them share with you some of the successes they've had in other locations where they've done this. We also want to, and we've done some of this already, but we'll continue to look at it in terms of enhancing the rail connectivity that serves our community. We are blessed in that we have 3 Class 1s that touch Decatur. Each of those Class 1s has access to the ramp, and an example of that type of improved connectivity really is the situation with CN, where instead of freight now getting hung up in Chicago before it can get to Decatur, they've effectively created a path around Chicago that allows that freight to come directly to Decatur, saving time, providing increased reliability, and providing us with a very cost-competitive opportunity in terms of serving customers in downstate Illinois and serving customers that really don't need to be in the Chicago area. We've also been working with respect to infrastructure, and City Manager Tim Gleason will talk a little bit about what I think is a remarkable joint effort between the city and the county in terms of working on highway infrastructure proposals and how that can sort of be part of what is the forward-thinking plan to help make sure that we are out ahead of the curve in terms of meeting the needs, the transportation needs of the Midwest Inland Port. We also have been working, and Ryan will speak a little bit about some of these things that he's been working on within the confines of the EDC. And then one of the other things that we want to do is to make sure that we have a qualified workforce to fill the jobs that we are hoping to create here in the community. And there is a very major comprehensive effort being undertaken by Grow Decatur in conjunction with a number of other organizations in this community to address that in a way that I think is different than it has ever been addressed before, and I'm very, very hopeful in terms of what we can achieve with that. And Ashley Grained from the Grow Decatur leadership team will speak about that as well. As I mentioned, we're going to have the site selector reception up in Chicago. We've got the foreign consulate tour that's coming up on October 4th and 5th. And I think now is the time to kind of begin to dive into some of the details. And so we're going to start by having Chris Timmons from the CN tell you about these direct import lanes into Decatur. So Chris?